guys, I'm Spooky Fox Horror and welcome to my YouTube channel. On this channel I talk about horror movie reviews, my love of horror movies and all things spooky. So if that's something that you would be interested in watching and listening to, then please subscribe, click the notification bell and follow for my future content. So in today's video I'm joined by my little friend here, my little Frankenstein mug, which is now covered in lipstick, but we'll ignore that. So I'm not actually talking about Frankenstein today, but the mug is very cute and I don't have a mug to reflect the topic that I will be talking about. This video is going to be my review of Robert Eggers' Nosferatu that released in England on New Year's Day 2025. Nosferatu is a retelling of Dracula that was written by Bram Stoker in 1897. The original Nosferatu movie was created and it wasn't supposed to be made. It was a legal one that someone made and it had a bit of a cult following and then got distributed, and it's now like a cult classic amongst gothic horror fans and classic horror fans. So that is where Nosferatu comes from. Robert Eggers' rendition of Nosferatu follows Thomas, who is an estate agent, and Ellen, who suffered from hysteria and melancholy, and people dismiss her due to her fantasies and how she acts different from societal norms at the time. The story also follows Count Orlok, who is an ancient undead Romanian nobleman. He is a vampire that is infatuated with Ellen. I just want to preface this video and say that I am a fan of the gothic horror genre. I'm a fan of the original Dracula novel by Bram Stoker in 1897. I'm a fan of Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula movie from 1992. I'm a fan of Sleepy Hollow, Dark Shadows and a bunch of other gothic horror movies and books, and so I understand the subtext within gothic horror. I understand the subtext that is based on human desire, especially sexual human desire, female sexuality. It's all the dark nitty-gritty things that is dwelling within human beings that we are taught to be scared of, and society, especially at the time in the 1800s, would make people scared of and think is demonizing and shouldn't be allowed, and makes like things that people should be scared of. I wholeheartedly understand what gothic horror is, where it came from, the subtexts within the Nosferatu movie. However, it did not hit for me. This movie wasn't my favourite. I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd. I didn't absolutely hate it, but I also didn't love it, and I was so disappointed going in to watch it because I was so excited. I really wanted to love it. I really wanted it to be everything that I wanted, and sadly, well, unfortunately for me, it just wasn't. It didn't. I can't exactly explain why it didn't hit fully for me, because there's a lot of attributes to it and parts of it that were beautiful and I really liked, but overall it meh for me. It's just a meh movie, and I would recommend people go watch it, but it's not something that I'm gonna rant and rave about and absolutely love. I would recommend watching Nosferatu, especially if you're a fan of gothic horror or want to understand a bit more about gothic horror, or just if you're looking for a movie that has stunning visuals. I'd absolutely recommend it, but it's just it doesn't warm my heart. It didn't entertain me. This is just an overview of what I thought about the movie. So I'm looking down a little bit. I have got some notes just on the end of my bed. So this movie had stunning visuals. It's something that Robert Eggers is known for. Some of the work with the candles and the fire was really pretty. The colour palette, the lighting, He really knows how to film a movie in a dark nighttime setting where you can actually see it, whereas a lot of movies, you watch them and they're set in the nighttime and you can't see anything. Robert Eggers' movies, you can actually see, like, he has cracked whatever they need to do to make you able to see in the dark. The costumes were also stunning. Makeup on some of the characters was pretty good, and yeah, so visuals stunning. Would definitely say it's got good visuals. Some of the sound design was really good as well. There was a lot of disturbing sounds that were a bit shocking to hear, and I will delve more into the sound design in the spoilers part of this video. One of my initial thoughts throughout watching Nosferatu was, I really hope Johnny Depp doesn't see this movie. Like, I hope he didn't go to any of the red carpet events or early screenings. Not because I don't want him to support his daughter, because he should absolutely support Lily Rose Depp, she did a great job, but there was a lot of cringiness within this movie. Some of Lily Rose's reactions to what was going on, you wouldn't want to see that as a dad, even though she's acted. It's, yeah, I think he just shouldn't have attended. Delving into Lily Rose Depp's role within the movie, I think she did a really good job as Ellen. Like, she really looked the part. She reminded me of Christina Ricci's character in Sleepy Hollow. Like, she's got the gothic slick backed hair, deep set eyes. She looks very much like a Tim Burton character. I thought she could play Victoria in a live action Corpse Bride pretty well, I think. Some of the movements she does and the facial work she does during her like possession scenes was really, really good. I've seen in interviews that no CGI was used. That was actually her working with like a body stunt coach thing, learning how to do all those things. So that is really, really impressive, especially for someone that's very new to the role of acting. I've never seen her acting anything else. I know she was in that Idol thing, but I've not seen that. But yeah, I think she gave a really good performance. However, some of her scenes were very over exaggerated and cringy, and I don't think that's because she didn't do them well. I think she did them well. I just think the writing was, some of the scenes did seem like it was written by a horny teenager or someone writing fan fiction, and I don't know, some of it I was just getting secondhand embarrassment for her, which I know isn't most people's overall opinion of Lily Rose Depp's performance or the movie in general, but that's just how I personally feel. Another actor who did a pretty good job is Bill Skarsgård, who of course played Count Orlok. So he did an incredibly creepy voice for Nosferatu that's based on a Romanian's accent at the time, or a Transylvanian accent at the time, and that was really creepy. It's really impressive that he learned to do it himself and he didn't use any sound engineers or anything. However, it was in parts really hard to understand what he was saying. I'm not very good at accents anyway. If I'm talking to someone in real life and they have a really thick accent, I find it quite hard to understand. But I'm from Yorkshire and I have a Yorkshire accent, so I get that my accent is sometimes hard to understand, especially for southerners. Better as the movie went on, and I think he got more used to the voice and used to what he was saying, but definitely in the beginning there was parts where I was like, I don't understand a word that he's saying. Another overarching thing for me within this movie is the sexual tension between Ellen and Orlok, and even between Ellen and Thomas. It didn't seem realistic. It was like forced and cringy. And I get that within this retelling, Nosferatu was like taking advantage of Ellen and all of their intimate interactions aren't always consensual and wanted and all that stuff, but I didn't feel like there was lusting on either end of anyone's relationship. It was all kind of cringy. The same with like Frederick and his wife. Like, he was pining after her, but it still felt kind of cringy and not like a realistic married couple. Also, while watching this movie at the cinema, I feel like this is going to be very controversial and upset a lot of people. I almost fell asleep. So I'd only had an hour and a half sleep the night before because I have a teething baby who was awake most of the night, so I didn't sleep very well. And then during the movie, because it's so dark and slow and the runtime is, in my opinion, way too long, and there was parts of it that was dragging and there just wasn't enough action or suspense and intensity, and for me the stakes weren't really high enough. The opening scene, I think, was the best part of it. Like, the first few minutes in the opening was really, really good, but by the end of the movie you pretty much get the outcome that you're expecting in the beginning, so it's like all the middle bit was kind of pointless. And that's going to be so controversial, and I'm really sorry, I don't mean to upset anybody, it's literally just my opinion. But yeah, I don't know if it's the lack of sleep or because the movie just felt quite long, but I almost fell asleep. Overall, this movie wasn't for me. There were some good parts to it and some parts I didn't like as much. For me, majority of the things that I didn't like I am going to get to in the spoilers section of this video. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, thank you so much for watching up to this part. If you haven't seen the movie yet, please click out of this video and come back to the last section once you've watched it, and then we can discuss in the comments. I appreciate that my opinion is going to differ from a lot of people's. It differs from the majority of people that have seen the movie so far. But that's the point of this channel, it's just to discuss opinions. I don't believe anyone's opinion is more right than anyone else's. We all have different views, and that's what makes it fun, just talking about our opinions and why we think things. For me, one of the reasons I dislike Nosferatu, or not dislike, that's a bit strong, one of the reasons why Nosferatu fell short with me was because of some of the design choices. Now, a lot of the design choices that weren't my favourite are spoilers, so I'm going to put them in the spoiler section of the video. Well, thank you so much for watching so far and for getting to the spoiler part of this video. The first thing I disliked about Nosferatu, which is a spoiler, is the overuse of awkward moaning. There was a lot, and I mean a lot, from the opening scene right to the end. There was a lot of awkward moaning by Ellen, which is Lily Rose Depp's character. I get the movie had a very sexual plot with a lot of sexual intonations, and that was always going to be a big part of this movie, but I don't know if it's the directing of it or her doing it, but I just found it really cringy and too much, and it just wasn't for me. Again, like I said earlier in the video, it seemed like a script written by a horny teenager, and that's why for me I feel like there was just too much moaning and overacting of certain scenes. Another thing I disliked about the movie, which is again a design choice, is how Count Orlok actually looks. They didn't show much of what Count Orlok looks like on any of the marketing because they wanted it to be a bit of a surprise. and a proper reveal like Longlegs was, and how well received Longlegs reveal was, but I just don't think Count Orlok had the same effect as what they was wanting to go with. I understand in Robert Eggers' version he doesn't want him to necessarily look like a vampire, he wants him to look like an undead Romanian nobleman, and I do think he achieved that, especially with the moustache. But the entire movie, like every time I saw him with his bald head and his moustache, he just like looked like Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik from the Sonic movies, and I just couldn't unsee it. The moustache was like the least sexiest thing. I'm not a hater of moustaches, but in this case it was just too big and too pointy and too in the way, and not for me. Part of his design, he was tall but he didn't seem powerful, and that might seem strange, but he wasn't scary in my opinion, because he's an undead nobleman. Like, he's still just a dude and he looks just like a dude, like an old decrepit old man, which isn't scary. Like, he looked like if Thomas had blown on him too hard he would fall over. Maybe other people don't have that opinion of him, maybe other people think he looks scary, but to compare it to Dracula in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the 1992 movie, like, he looks like, in the beginning before he makes himself young, he looks like this ethereal being that is ancient and weird, whereas Nosferatu, he literally just looks like an old man that's ready for a nursing home. Again, a controversial opinion, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of hate for this take. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion. Another thing I really disliked, which again was a choice, was why did we need to see certain body parts of Count Orlok? There was absolutely no need for that. It was not integral to the story. It added shock value, I guess, but not in the way that we want to be shocked as horror fans. Again, it was more cringy shock value, not scary shock value. It was just, again, a choice that wasn't for me. I mentioned earlier as well the sound design and the use of sound, so there were some really, really good sounds used within Nosferatu. One of them being blood sucking, like panting. There was like a weird squelching noise. There was some sounds that were really realistic and disturbing, and I think that added a lot, because most movies, or a lot of movies, use sort of mediocre sounds and they add them in later, and I mean these probably were added in later, but they sounded so realistic and loud and close up, so you really felt like you was there when Nosferatu was sucking blood and stuff. That was really good. Final point in spoilers of me not really disliking, or I guess not really caring for the Nosferatu movie, is like, Ellen didn't matter. Like, it didn't matter that she was Ellen. In this retelling, they're not star-crossed lovers, they've not been in love for a long time and died and been looking for each other. Like, she was just a girl that was lonely and wanted attention, and he gave her the attention and assaulted her, or however you'd want to infer what happened between them. She wanted somebody to pay attention to her, and he did, and then he came back for her. He could have chose like anybody, because even if he was super infatuated with her, there's surely, at this time especially, when people's husbands are dying and their families are dying, there would be so many other people for him to pry on that are also calling out for help and attention and love. He could have literally just moved on to somebody else. Yeah, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but but it's just how I feel about it. It doesn't matter that he was going after Ellen, it could have been any girl, any maiden. But yeah, thank you so much, schools, for watching this video. I'm really sorry if it's rambly, and I know that a lot of my opinions on this movie are very controversial, and please don't send me too much hate for my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion. I wholeheartedly appreciate this as a movie. It was beautifully made, would recommend people go to see it, but objectively as a movie, like, it's a good, well-made movie. It's just I don't like it personally, and that's absolutely fine. Not everyone has to like the same movies, and yeah, that's what's fun about being a horror movie fan. We get to discover what we like and what we don't like, and then share it with people. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and my next upload will be coming in a few days.